Hello, Professor.
Yeah.
How are you feeling now, Professor?
I'm alive. I'm okay. Just a little bit of cough and a little bit of runny nose now, but I'm much better. Last Tuesday was kind of the worst. Thank you for asking. How you doing, Fauzia?
Good, good. Still, I'm alive too.
Excellent.
There's no matter for dying with kids.
Oh my gosh. I know there's no time. I know.
Hello, Professor.
Hi there. How you doing?
Good, thank you.
Hi. Someone's happy? Or what what's that cry? Happy or sad or hungry?
She's happy.
Okay, good. Yeah, it sounded pretty happy. Hi. 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 Hi there. Peekaboo. You got to help your mom, okay? Help your mom. Oh my gosh, she's so cute. Her hair.
Thank you, Professor. Stop.
How old is she? Like a year and a half?
She's 1 year old.
Oh, just 1 year. Okay.
Yeah.
She's talk though, huh? She talks a lot.
Yeah, she wants to talk.
That's great. That's cool. Well, I'm glad you're both here.
Hi.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm alive. I'm okay. How
Okay. I'm alive.
Oh my gosh, last week was not fun, but I'm okay. I'm happy to be alive and better now. How you doing?
I'm good, thank you.
Excellent. Good. Khaled is here. Hi, you guys. Just saying hi as you come in. Hi, Esther.
Hello. Hi.
Hi. Are you at the hospital? Where are you?
I'm at the dealership.
Okay,
Car
okay.
dealership.
Better than the hospital. Maybe
Yes,
both are expensive though sometimes, huh?
I know. Yeah, I just want to replace my front bumper, so I came to pick it.
Got it. Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. Got it. Well, good luck.
Thank you. How are you feeling?
I'm okay. I feel much better. Still got a little cough, little runny nose, but
Oh, I'm sorry.
oh, no, I'm okay. It's okay.
Mhm.
But yeah, I haven't been that sick in a couple of years. No COVID, took the test, no COVID, just some
Mhm.
weird, maybe just the regular flu. I don't know, but
Mhm.
it was not my favorite week of the year. I will tell you that.
Mhm.
Hi.
But I'm back. Hey, Arika.
Can you stop? Go روح عند dad. What is that? What is that?
I know it's 6, but we'll wait another minute or two for people. I know it's after we miss a week, it's kind of like, okay, I need to remember how to do this and get back into it. We're almost done though, you guys. We got just 4 more weeks, right? 1 more month, this very long semester. We're getting there. We're getting there. Hey, Kumar.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone, and Professor.
I think.
Glad to see you.
Thank you. Yeah, me too. It's good to see you guys. It's good to be out of bed. It's good to see you guys.
Yes, how are you? How are you feeling, sir?
I feel better. I feel better. Still a little cough, still a little runny nose, but I'm much better now.
Good, 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 sir. Good. Glad to hear that.
Thank you. Thank you, Kamgar. Thank you. Cool. And like I said, like usual, we'll make maybe 1 or 2 more minutes, then we'll get started. But you may see another person who just came into the class who is not usually here. That's Professor Specker. She is one of my colleagues and another professor in the ESL department. She is here to watch and observe me, not you guys, okay? So she is here to watch me and not you, but everyone can just say hi. Welcome, Professor Specker, and say hello.
Hi.
Hi.
Hello. Hi.
Hi, Professor. How are you?
Good. How are you doing?
Good, good. I'm one of her students.
I love it. That's awesome.
I'm also.
Yeah, you have a few of my old students. That's wonderful.
That's great.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Even
You guys have a good time tonight. I'm just gonna sit and watch.
Thank
Don't
you.
watch. Say something.
Good evening.
just like participate. Hey, baby. Hey.
Hello, Professor. How are you?
Okay, it's good to see you.
Thank you.
Excellent. Now we're getting the crew. The crew's coming in. Ina in the chat says hi to everybody. Hi, Ina, and hi, everybody. Hey, Ina. All right. Well, I'm sure we will have people keep coming in, but I know that I had to cancel class. And like I said, anytime you skip a class, you lose energy. It's hard to get the energy back. So we will see who comes tonight. But let's get started for tonight. It is Tuesday, November 9th of the fall 2021 semester. Like I said, week 12 We are getting there. We are getting there slowly but surely, all of you. So here is what we are doing on this Tuesday, November 9th. So I've got a quick announcement that I just want to make at the beginning of class. Then I've got a warm-up activity for us to just review some of the rules that we practiced and that we learned for the verb tenses from 2 weeks ago. I was going to say last week, but 2 weeks ago. And then I'm going to introduce the past perfect, right? I think maybe I should say I'm going to give you more details about the past perfect. Last week, I think, or 2 weeks ago, excuse me, we sort of looked at it very quickly, but we didn't talk too much about it. So that's the plan for tonight. That's the plan for tonight. And here is my quick announcement. So quick announcements. First, I told you all last week, I hate to cancel a class, especially when we only meet once a week, but I was not functional. So I missed you all and it's good to see you again. So because I was coughing and sleeping and sweating, I was unable to finish grading all of the grammar writing 2 assignments. If you're still waiting for your grade, I'm sorry. But I will have them all graded before we meet for class next week. Okay, so all grammar writing 2 assignments will be done by next week. If yours is not done now, it will be. And then next week, I will introduce grammar writing 3 in next week's Zoom meeting. I will say one last thing about grammar writing 2. Even though the calendar got mixed up and changed around, you will still be able to revise and resubmit, come talk to me at office hours, and work on your first draft for a higher score, okay? So just because we had to miss a week and I was sick, you'll still have time to get a higher score on grammar writing 2. Any questions about this quick announcement, just about the timeline and grading and all that stuff? Any questions at all before we get started with more verb tenses today? Let's roll. All right. So
No question.
Sorry, Zuhal. No
I
question.
said no question, yeah.
Perfect. I'll take it. I'll take it. Okay, so here's my warm-up activity. And Vanessa just came in and says hi to everybody in the chat. Hi, Vanessa. It's good to see you. So here's the quick warm-up activity that I want you to do. I want you to finish the sentence below using a real example from your own life and just type your sentence into the chat and then enter it. And then I will look at some of our examples together as a way to review and talk about some of these verb tenses that we've been working on. So by the time I moved to the United States, I had already, and you will fill in the blank. First, I will ask you, what verb tense do I have here in the first clause?
Past participle.
Camgar says past participle. Now, a good idea. Is this the past participle or is this actually the main verb in the clause?
No, it's the main verb.
I do. And remember, this can't be past participle because I don't have an auxiliary, right? I don't have any other helping verb
Yes,
here.
yes,
I've
it's
got
the main verb.
subject I, and here's my verb. So what tense are we looking at?
Past
Yeah,
tense.
so this past thing, obviously,
Good.
ed.
Yes, I think yes. We're looking at the simple past tense in the first clause, right? And so that's it. That's all I'm going to say. Take 1 minute. You know, we can just very quick warm up here. Type your answer in the chat. By the time I moved to the United States, comma, I had already fill in the blank. And let's see your examples. And then we're going to practice these rules together. Okay, you guys? So you got a minute. Go for it. You can have 2 if you really need to. I think I see BB's in there. Great. I've got Kamgar's. Thank you, Kamgar. I'd love at least 2 more examples. The more, the better, but I'd love at least 2 more. Bibi, is that the way you want to finish it? The one that's in the chat, Bibi? I'm not sure.
Yes, I'm professor.
Perfect. Like this, Bibi?
Sorry, professor. Today I'm using my phone, so it's a little hard for me to.
Got it. No problem. No problem at all. Anybody else? Even one more? Is anybody sitting at a computer, or is it all phones today? I'd love one more. We can just use Kamgar's example. That's fine too. Perfect. I got one more from Zuhal, and we'll get going with these examples then. Oh, baby, give me another one. Okay, good. This is perfect. All right, this is plenty to talk about and to introduce this, well, again, practice this rule that we introduced 2 weeks ago. So I've got, excuse me, pardon me. I've got 3 examples. By the time I moved to the United States, I had already been known about English language some. By the time I moved to the United States, I have already enrolled at ARC. And by the time I moved to the United States, I have already rented a house. Very nice. And I've got one from Esther. I'm going to add it to the list. Oh, see, I was just impatient. I just needed to give you guys more time. And Khalida gave us one too. Plenty. We've got plenty of examples. Thank you for the people who gave me example sentences. So I already read Kamgar's. Then I've got, by the time I moved to the United States, I have already enrolled at ARC. By the time I moved to the United States, I have already rented a house. By the time I moved to the United States, I had finished my certification. By the time I moved to the United States, I have already done with my dinner. I think with, right? Okay, I want to talk about really only the second clause. So I'm going to make the second clause into different colors here, you guys. Now, what verb tense did most people use here? If you notice, in the first one, I've got have already been known. In the second one, I've got have already enrolled, have already rented. What verb tense are most people using here in the second clause, you guys?
Present perfect.
Bibi is saying present perfect, and that is correct. Most of you guys in these examples use the present perfect tense. But what about Esther's here? What do we notice here? By the time I moved to the United States, I had finished. What is she doing here? Instead of have in present tense, she's got what?
It's past tense.
Past participle.
Yes, good. Arifa and Bibi are on it, right? This is the past perfect when I've got had and then finished. Now I've got lots of slides and lots of practice for this today, But first I want to look at Kamgar's. He did something really interesting. If I say had been known, what's the main verb in this clause? I had already been known. What's the actual verb, you guys?
Been known.
None.
Just one word.
Oh, no.
I agree.
Known.
So in Kamgar's here, we've got the main verb known, and then we've got auxiliary have and auxiliary been. In this case, you can say, we talked about this with have been plus the present participle, right? That's fine. That's the ing. But have been and then the past participle, you guys, this is kind of an always rule for us. We don't ever need to say had been and past participle. We could talk about the past perfect progressive. Maybe we'll get there in the last couple of weeks, right? But we don't ever have, we're never going to have been and then the past participle. Just one reason why Kamgar's example, we know that this one just cannot be grammatically correct, right?
Mm-hmm.
So because noun is not action verb.
It's not even that, it's just this simple, right? We can't say have been and then the past participle. We can't say have, but let's do this. Let's even say that, I mean, he's got had, so let's keep it had. I mean, this we could say in a passive voice construction, like it had been known, but again, this is really, really rare. So instead of just the actual main verb being know, BB, like we did talk about this last week or 2 weeks ago, some verbs like the present tenses more than other verbs. And I've got an example of that in the next slide. But really, it's just about how we put together the auxiliaries with the main verb to form these verb tenses. And it is very, very rare. And again, you know, like I've said, with English grammar, you can't really say never, because it had been known. That sounds like Bible talk to me. Like you could say it, but I had been known English before I moved to California. I mean, this is just never, this is never going to be right. And it's not just because of the verb. It's also because of trying to put these two auxiliary forms together, right? Does that make sense? See a comment in the chat. Oh, good. Vanessa's got one too. We'll look at that one. So I wanted to talk about Kamgar's because we've talked about auxiliaries so much this semester. Phoebe, did I see you unmute yourself? You have a question or it makes sense?
Sorry, Professor. One more explanation. I didn't got it.
So the bottom line here is we will almost never, I'm going to say almost because like I said, you could think of some passive voice constructions, but we will almost never use had auxiliary plus been auxiliary plus past participle. That's the reason why, baby. And that's what he did, right? Had been known. It's not yeah, that's all I'm going to say. I'm not going to confuse you anymore. This is the reason why we almost.
So, Professor, we can.
Okay, thank you, Professor.
Yeah.
We can use add plus auxiliary plus been plus auxiliary plus ing form of the verb.
Well, yeah, this had been plus the present participle, that'd be had been living. And we looked at this really briefly. This is the past perfect progressive.
Yes.
This you can do, right?
Okay.
And like I said, maybe if we have time, we'll look at it a little bit before the end of the semester. But it's a pretty advanced verb tense. And by advanced, I just mean it's not that common. It's good to know, but you won't use it that often. I mean, maybe if you're going for your bachelor's, but it's just not that common.
Okay, so what I have given an example was wrong.
Yes,
grammatically.
because look at this, Kamgar. Here
Yes.
you have known. Is that the present participle or past participle?
No, it's past participle.
That's why it's incorrect.
Okay.
Got it? Cool. Excellent. Excellent. Yeah, excellent. Again, anytime we're starting to combine more than one auxiliary verb together, of course, it gets fun, you know. Let's look at another example that I wanted to spotlight. This, I duplicated the wrong slide, excuse me. I wanted to look at this one. By the time I moved to the United States, I have already rented a house. How does this one look to you guys?
That's absolutely right.
Oh, that is absolutely wrong, and I will tell you why, Kamgar.
Wrong?
Yeah, I'll tell you why.
I have already rented. So it's in past participle again.
I'll tell you why. No, I'll tell you why. So this is what today's lecture is all about, and what the new lessons in Canvas are all about, is to practice this verb tense that we just introduced 2 weeks ago. So if you look at this sentence, by the time I moved to the United States, comma, I already rented a house. This word already, you know, I've got a slide all about the word already here, but this word is a big clue, right? This is a time adverb. This is giving us very important information in the sentence, right? It's telling us what happened first and then what happened second. So in this sentence, by the time I moved to the United States, I have already rented a house. What happened first, rent house or move?
Rent house.
Yes. And second is move, right?
Yeah.
Excellent. And now in this next sentence, when we compare, this was Esther's sentence, by the time I moved to the United States, I had finished my certification. What happened first? Finished certification
Moved.
or moved?
I think moved. Second moved.
Now
Wow.
this is the rule that we're learning right now. Here's the rule, and this is why the first sentence is incorrect, Kamgar, is because when we use the past perfect tense, I've got it on the next slide, I'll just show you. We use the past perfect tense when comparing one moment in the past to another specific moment in the past. And we use the past perfect to show which event happened first, and then we'll just use the simple past to show which event happened second, right? So in this one, moved is in the simple past. This should be had, I'm just gonna change it. Had rented is in the simple past. So we use the simple, excuse me, is in the past perfect. So we're using the past perfect for rent house because that happened first. Then she moved to the United States. So if it happened second, simple past, whatever happened before that, past perfect. And Esther's sentence, because of Esther used the past perfect correctly here. So by the time I moved to the United States, I had finished my certification. So what happened first was finished certification. And after that is she moved, right? Now I've got lots of opportunity for us to practice this tonight. But does this make sense, the rule? Even if Kamgar is like, it's absolutely correct, and I'm like, no, I have bad news. But does this basic rule before we practice make sense? Comparing a specific moment in the past to another specific moment in the past. This is important to understand. We only use the past perfect to talk about things that happened in the past. It's not like the present perfect, which we've talked a little bit about and reviewed. Started in the past, connected to the present, affects the present, whatever. Had, and then the past participle is for events that happened in the past. And again, we've talked about how do we form a verb tense and when do we use that verb tense? How do you form the past perfect? You use the auxiliary had and then the past participle form of the verb. And there's good news about this verb tense, guys. Forming it is not that hard. Knowing when to use it is the hard thing with this verb tense, because the auxiliary will always be the past tense form of the verb. It's always had. And the auxiliary will not take an S for third person singular subjects. We've talked about you can code a verb, right, for a singular or plural, continuous or non-continuous, and tense, right? Well, you don't need to code anything onto the auxiliary for the past perfect verb tense. It's always had, right? So let's just do a really quick and easy example here. If I duplicate the slide and I say, right, it's always had plus the past participle, I'll give you the verbs and you just put it into the format. So if the verb is go, how would I put go into the past perfect?
Gone.
Gone.
Yes, but before
Gone.
gone, what do we need?
Went.
Nope.
Went and gone.
No,
Nope.
to be verb, auxiliary to be.
No,
I have gone.
we only ever need this one auxiliary right here that I'm highlighting for you.
Okay,
I have
have
gone.
and had.
It had gone. And how about eat?
Have
Had,
eaten.
had.
Yeah.
Eaten.
Eaten.
Oh, eaten.
And how about buy?
Had
Bo-
got.
Had,
Bought.
Got.
You. And how about learn?
Learn.
Learned. Ed.
T.
Don't
Ed.
forget my auxiliary. Don't forget
Yes,
my
ed.
how about be?
Been.
On.
Had been.
Ben.
And
Been.
how about leave?
Lift.
left.
Excellent. Did I spell this right? I got. I'm gonna check it. I'm embarrassed by this one. How about think?
Thought.
Had
Excellent.
thought.
Good. This now, like I said, the challenge for students with the past perfect, and really this slide should just be about the past perfect. So the how to form it, you guys got it, right? If I give you the verb and you know the past participle, all you need to do is say had and then the past participle. Had thought, had been, had seen, had gone, had wondered, had dreamed, had known, had whatever, right? How you form this verb tense is usually not the challenge. The challenge is when, right? The challenge is usually when do we use it? Okay. Now I've got more practice slides, but does this basic stuff, does this make sense? Or should I just say question?
Professor.
Thank you, baby. So remember, I heard a few people saying, oh, we should use the auxiliary be. Stay away from auxiliary be for the past perfect, okay? For this one, all you need, past tense form of have, had, right? Okay, so let's look at some examples. Now, like I said, the big challenge for students usually is when do we use this? Well, there are some very big clues for when you should use this. And yes, very often they are adverbs, they are time words that are giving us important information and that we use to talk about the order of events, right? What happened first, second, third, fourth, whatever. And one of the words that we always, usually talk about with this verb tense is this word already, right? Because already is a time word that sort of tells us, it's like a big clue, that the sentence will talk about more than one event, and it will also tell us which event happened first, right? Now, we could talk about the future verb tenses and all that stuff. That's why I had a little comment there, but let's keep it simple for this, for where we are right now. So for example, before I turned 38, I had already moved to Sacramento. What happened first? Move or turn?
No, moved.
Yes. Thank you. Good. If you were thinking turn, then keep paying attention here, right? So I had already graduated when I got married. What happened first? Graduate or get married?
Graduated.
Yes, Kamgar. Yeah. And how about our last one? I had already learned the simple past tense when I started to study the past perfect.
Learn
What-
simple
How will you
present.
learn?
Learn the simple past.
So what happened first? Exactly right. Good. Learned the simple past and then study. That's exactly correct. And Ina's typing in the chat too. So for people who are talking, for people who are typing in the chat, thank you, thank you, thank you. Right. So when you see this, when you see a sentence like this, right? If nothing else, I hope that you can remember just from this lesson and for this class, from after this class, if you see a sentence like this with already, whatever event or moment or thing you see in the past perfect tense, that's telling you that happened first. That happened before this other event from the past, right? So let's
Past perfect happened before past. I mean past tense.
Yes.
Or
Now,
simple past.
simple past. Now, it's not always that simple. We can have sentences that maybe don't have two clauses that are this nice and neat. We'll see some more of them. If we go fast tonight, we're not really going fast tonight. So we can probably look at these tomorrow, but I'm sorry, next week, not tomorrow. Don't worry, there's no Zoom tomorrow. I've still got a little bit of sick brain, you guys. But we'll look at some other examples where it's not always, okay, one clause is in the past perfect and one clause is in the simple past. It's not always that neat, but it is a really nice and easy way to practice this rule. And it is very common, right? So it's not the only way, but it is a very common way that we use the verb tense. And when you see that, when you see a sentence that's got two clauses, one is in the simple past, one is in the past perfect, you can be pretty darn sure that whatever is in the past perfect happened first. Absolutely, Kamgar, absolutely. So let's practice. Let's have you guys practice. So more time words, okay? And I've given you already and after.
I
Yes.
have a question.
Vanessa, please.
I can say something in Spanish.
Okay, I'll allow it. What?
En este caso, had already trabajan como auxiliares los dos en este caso.
Had, is already an auxiliary. Is that your question, Vanessa?
Yes.
It's not. It's an adverb. It's like ya. It's going to be like ya or todavía. The good news is, Vanessa, this verb tense is exactly the same in Spanish. The bad news is we don't really use it in Spanish. We just use the simple past.
Okay.
Because, like, I don't know if you would use había estudiado or hubo estudiado. It's one of those, right? Like, it's there. It's almost the same exact verb tense, but it's not very common when we're just speaking Spanish every day. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
But already is an adverb. It's a time word, right?
Okay.
Yeah, it's not part of an auxiliary. Great question from Vanessa. So yeah, Vanessa was saying, is already part of the verb? Is this had auxiliary, already auxiliary, moved main verb? It's not. And Vanessa asked a really important question. I mean, if it makes you guys more comfortable in your own sentences, again, another reason we know this is an adverb. What did we study about adverbs the first 2 weeks? Adverbs move around the sentence all over, right? We could put the adverb in different places in the sentence. So you could put the adverb here before the auxiliary, but this is one of those verb tenses, like some of the phrasal verbs that we've looked at, that you can split it up, right? You can put a word in between the auxiliary and the main verb, right? So excellent question from Vanessa. And just to be clear, I'm going to label them then appropriately here, right? So we've been using red for verbs. I'll just make this clear for you guys when I put it in Canvas. Already is an adverb. We didn't really have a specific color for adverb. I'm going to make it purple today. But here's my other question for Vanessa, or anybody who wants to answer. I haven't finished grading Grammar Writing 2, but this is what we were studying with Grammar Writing 2. Already is not an auxiliary verb, but is it part of the verb phrase, you guys? It is. I got impatient. It is still part of the verb phrase, right? Everything that comes after the subject is part of your VP. So that's, again, another reason why Vanessa's question is excellent. This can be confusing. Had is the auxiliary, already is an adverb, moved is the main verb, but all of it is part of the verb phrase, which starts after the subject and continues to the end of the clause, right? Yes, Vanessa says, thank you. You are so welcome. Thank you for your excellent question. So let's look at this a little more. And again, we're just gonna keep practicing to get you ready for what you'll do in Canvas. So and I've given you the verbs. I already read the recipe before I cook dinner. What should this sentence be? You can either say it or type it in the chat.
I had already read the recipe before I cooked dinner.
Like this, Kamgar?
Yeah, I had already read the recipe before I cooked dinner. Yes.
Yes, Kamgar, absolutely perfect. Yeah, quick study. It must be because you studied with Professor Specker and she's here. You're showing off. I love it. Yes, I had already read the recipe before I cooked dinner. Now, Kamgar, you already probably know this. You just Beth gives you the thumbs up. Which happened first, read the recipe or cook dinner?
Read the recipe.
And I'm glad that people are like, duh, Jeff, that's obvious. I hope so, right? Like the good news for you guys is in your own writing, right? If you know in your mind what happened you already know what happened first and second. The challenge for you guys is remembering to use the past perfect verb tense, right? But some of these questions about, well, what happened first and what happened second, it's usually like, you know, that it's just remembering to correctly form the clauses. Does this make sense? Any questions about the first example before we look at the second one?
Before we continue, can I say that I read the recipe before I cooked dinner?
Yes. Now, Esther is, as always, an excellent student. And I was going to talk about this with the second one. I'm going to wait to talk about this when we look at the second one. Okay, Esther, I promise I am not going to forget.
Okay.
This is on my list because this is the $1 million question, isn't it? How about let's do the next one, and then we'll talk about Esther's excellent question. After my daughter eat breakfast, she want to watch cartoons and play with her toys. What should this one be? Kamgar, you want to go again?
I'm trying to make it, sir.
Okay.
After my daughter had been eating breakfast. No, but not been. My daughter had eaten.
Yes.
Breakfast.
She wanted.
Good. I heard
you wanted to watch the cartoon and play with her toys.
Good. And I'm going to add Esther's question. Can we do this? This was basically for this sentence. This is Esther's same question. Can we use the simple past twice? And this is like I was saying to Vanessa, if you heard me speaking in Spanish, this is basically what we do in Spanish, right? In Spanish, we just use the simple past all the time. And it's obvious what happened first and what happened second, especially if we have a time word like before or after or already, right? And that's why sometimes these verb tenses are difficult for Spanish speakers. We just use the simple past tense. Well, interestingly enough, I'm just curious for you guys, like, does this look wrong to you? I read the recipe before I cooked dinner. Does that look wrong?
No.
Yeah, Zuhal says no.
Oh,
I don't think it's wrong either. I don't know. Professor Specker's not here to teach, but I should talk to her after. I'd love to hear her opinion on this. Like, I think that more and more, even in writing, even in academic writing, English verb tenses are kind of regularizing themselves so that you have what's called parallel structure in different clauses, especially with time words. I mean, we don't have any native Chinese speakers here, but in Mandarin, they don't even need to worry about verb tenses because the time words and the adverbs do all the work, right? If I say, I go to store before I go to church, before makes it clear, even if the verb tenses don't change, right? But I will say, here's the rule. The rule, like I said, is when comparing one moment in the past to another specific moment. Now, in both of these sentences, I have the time word already, and I do have this specific moment, right? I've got after, and I've got eating breakfast she wanted to watch. So I think for me, Esther's question, like, is this wrong? In this example sentence, I read the recipe before I cooked dinner. I think you have to be kind of crazy to say that this is wrong, but I do think that we're at G310 level, right? You're going to go to 320. You're going to take transfer level English. This, I had already read the recipe before I cooked dinner. This sounds more academic, right? This sounds more formal. This sounds more, you know, college level. And we've always talked about that, right? Sort of what you'll hear when you're walking around Sacramento or when you're on the ARC campus, when we get to go back. But that's a little bit different than the style and the tone of academic writing, right? Zeynep, do you have a question?
No, Professor.
Okay, sorry, I saw you unmute yourself. So yeah, after my daughter had eaten breakfast, she wanted to watch cartoons and play with her toys. After my daughter ate breakfast, she wanted to watch cartoons and play with her toys. Again, to me, I don't think this is wrong, but I do think that this is more perfect, right? More correct, and especially more academic. Esther, did I answer your excellent question?
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I'd say. That's my answer to that question. Okay, now let's practice. I want you to form sentences. You can either speak it to me or type it in the chat if you can. I want you to use the word already, and you're going to use the past perfect and the simple past. And I'm telling you, first, buy car. Second, move to Los Angeles. Take a moment. Give me this sentence using what I've given you.
I'll say I had already bought the car before I bought a new house.
Okay, Esther gave me some different details, but I think the grammar is about right. Anybody else? Give me examples or type in the chat.
I had already bought a car before I moved to Los Angeles.
Excellent.
By the time I moved to Los Angeles, I've already bought a car.
Yes, Bibi, I have a look. My third slide is by the time. Thank you, Bibi. You are predicting the future. Yeah. By the time I moved to Los Angeles, I had already bought a car. Now, I was going to ask this same question on this slide. Bibi, as usual, is anticipating. Can I say this? Can I change the order of the clauses here?
Yes, Professor.
If I do, though, what do I need to do?
remove the comma.
Yes, tell me about the comma. Which one needs a comma and which one does not?
Between two clauses, we have to...
Not always. This is about, remember, this is about dependent and independent clauses. When one first, we need the comma. Do we remember?
Yeah, before I moved to Los Angeles, comma, I had already bought a car.
Thank you, Bibi. Bibi is exactly correct. Before I moved to Los Angeles, this is the dependent clause. We can start the sentence with the dependent clause, but then we must have a comma. In this sentence, I had already bought a car. That is my independent clause. Because I've started the sentence with the independent clause, I do not need the comma here. And Bibi did the same thing in her sentence, right? Even if your subordinator, let's call this, I mean, again, we could talk about, this is a prepositional phrase that really is functioning like a subordinator, whatever, but this is what makes it dependent, right? So in Bibi's second sentence she gave us, she also started with the dependent clause. That means we need a comma after Los Angeles, right? And then now I see this in the chat. This is perfect. I had already moved to Los Angeles before I bought my car. Is this correct? I had already moved to Los Angeles before I bought my car. This is incorrect. Why is it incorrect?
Because first action
Bought a
is
car.
Say it exactly right.
Sorry about car. I had already moved to Los Angeles.
No, Ina, no, don't worry about it. This is the rule we're practicing, Ina, right? I wanted you to give me a sentence where buy car is first, move to Los Angeles is second. If we use the past perfect to talk,
Okay.
remember, past perfect means that happened first, simple past happened second. So that's why this sentence is incorrect. If I say this, it means I moved to LA, then I
buy car. Yeah,
exactly.
I understand what you mean.
Exactly.
I had already bought my car before moved to Los Angeles.
Boom. Yeah, before I moved. You don't forget your subject pronoun there, yes, exactly correct. Any questions about this example? I've got a couple more to look at here. Makes sense, makes sense. Let's go. And now I want you to use the word before. I want you to use the past perfect, and the simple past tense again. And again, we'll keep it, pretty traditional here. First get married, then have a child. Speak it or type it in the chat for me.
I had already married.
But let's do before. Let's do before. Try not to use already. Let's just do before.
Before I got married.
before I got married, before I got a child.
Yeah, before I had a child.
Yes, there it is. And now remember.
Yeah.
I got married.
Remember, we're practicing the
I
past.
had got married. I had
gotten married.
Yeah, I gave you got here. Get in past participle is very strange. But yeah, before I had a child, comma, I had already gotten married, right? So again, and actually,
I had already got.
Yeah, well,
so it's only the usage of before. So why already? Shouldn't we use already here, or we should use already?
Yeah, this is what I was saying. Now I'm going to show you some examples of this in a moment here. We might be able to get to it today. I mean, we've got a half hour. Okay. So now we're asking a little bit of a style question and not just a grammar question, right? One reason that teaching verb tenses in a way that isn't just fill in the blank quizzes is difficult is because we are a little bit talking about style and the way you're writing, right? The way that you want to write your sentences for your classes, right? So let's look at some options. These are some options. Now, Kamgar was asking, okay, do we have to have already? So I'll just read them for us, then we'll talk about them. Before I had a child, I should erase this. I mean, a lot of people say got as the past participle, but really it should be gotten. So before I had a child, I had already gotten married. Before I had a child, I got married. Before I had a child, I had gotten married. I'm just curious now. What do these look like to you? Do they all look right? Does one look better than the other one? Like when you see this, what do you think?
In my idea, before I had a child, I got married because the first action.
Kamgar's getting some advice, I think. Anyway,
Yes, sorry, sir. You know the background noise and
no
kids,
problem.
kids, wife. They just gave me an advice.
She's like, Kamgar, you've got to use the past perfect. Come on, man.
No, she doesn't. She doesn't. She don't know exactly English, but she is quite have an eye on me to just learn.
Yeah, we're all working on it. We're all working.
So in my idea, yeah, the second one.
Kamgar likes this one. Okay, anybody else have an opinion?
For me, I'll go with the first one.
Esther,
The first one.
Okay.
For me, the first one, Professor.
Bibi likes the first one.
In my idea, the first one, I had a child. I had already gotten married. Both of them are in past perfect, isn't it?
They could be both.
Yeah. This is what I want to talk about. This was Esther's excellent question, right? This is what I mean about style, right? It's not just, is the grammar right? I mean, is the grammar right? We've got to start there, right? We need to get the grammar at the sentence level right. I mean, that's what we've been talking about for 3 months, my friends, for 12 weeks. That's what we've been talking about. But when you feel comfortable and confident writing your sentences, then you do have choices, right? And this is a matter of emphasis. Do we all know the meaning of this word? Emphasis? What is emphasis? What this I'm going to mute you. It's not personal. Emphasis. Do we know what emphasis means? I see some people shaking their head. If you don't, it's worth it to look it up. Esther says yes, but it's worth it to look this word up. I'm at Learner's Dictionary, where I always go. Emphasize means to give special attention to something, to place emphasis, that's just the noun form of the verb, right? To place emphasis on something. So their father always emphasized the importance of discipline. That means your father could emphasize the importance of kindness or money or hard work or whatever, but this person's father focused on emphasize discipline, or he wanted to emphasize to us that he hadn't meant, there we get the past perfect too, right? That he hadn't meant to offend anyone. So in this case, emphasize means I want to be very clear. I mean, honestly, you guys, after 3 months of working with me, you know what I emphasize every week. I emphasize go to Canvas, check the YouTube recording, look at the lessons. Emphasis just means what you want to focus on, what you want to put the spotlight, right? The spotlight on. And spotlight is just this, right? Emphasize is like, where do you want to shine your light to focus on the most important thing, right? That's what we're talking about here. Now, in this first one, before I had a child, I had already gotten married. The emphasis here This sentence here emphasizes the order of the events. You are emphasizing. So how can I say this? So a native English speaker, ENG speaker, will feel like you are emphasizing which came first and which came second. This second one, I don't even know that this one gives us some specific emphasis. This sentence and this is really important, actually, and this is worth talking about. So in the first one, this sentence emphasizes the order of the events. If you say, I had already done this, so a native speaker will feel like you are emphasizing which came first and which came second. Before I had a child, I got married. This sentence doesn't really have a strong emphasis. And so to
The first one, like more correct, right? The second one.
That's what I think it's more academic. And let me show you why. It will read like a list. Now, again, at 310 level, we've talked about writing a lot in this 310 level. So if I have a sentence, if I have a short sort of sentences like this, before I had a child, I got married. Then after I got married, I moved to a house in Sacramento. In Sacramento, I got a good job. I mean, all of these simple past, simple past, simple past, simple past, simple past, right? Now, there's nothing wrong with the grammar in any of these sentences. Everything in these sentences is grammatically correct, right? The issue, however, is, let's see if you can feel the difference. I mean, I didn't change it that much, but even if
it's more interesting, or like
yeah, I think Ina's saying interesting, and I would just call it academic. I mean, when you change different verb tenses, it doesn't just read like this, then this, then this, then this, then this. And you guys know at 315, 325, if you're writing 2 or 3 page essays or more, you know, you really do want to have a variety of different verb tenses. And maybe that's what Ina means, right? It's more interesting. It feels like a more, it just feels different. Like it feels different. So when you keep your verb tenses all the same here, it just I'm repeating myself, but it reads like a list. And by the time you get to 325 and 340 English 300 level, you don't want to have a long essay that just feels like a list of items, a list of events. And that's why using these different verb tenses, especially to talk about things that happened in the past, can emphasize the order. And that's what I mean about style. I'll put this sort of up here. Style. Before I had a child that already gotten married, then after I had gotten married, then after I got married, I'm doing this on the fly, so let me fix this. Then after I got married, yeah, probably is the way to do it. Yeah, let's look at a different example for this. My brain isn't working, so this is not a beautiful example, but my point does stand. And I'll go back to this example because it's a little prettier and simpler and easier, I think. But I'll just repeat one last time. If you've got a paragraph that's only full of the simple past tense, a full paragraph, it might feel a little bit boring or less native speaker-like as you continue to go into higher levels at college level. Yeah, does that make sense?
Yeah, thank you.
Ooh, that's a deep exhale. It's only been 1 hour, oh my God.
I have other class, just like crazy tired. Thank you. Spent my one night in the hospital.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
I just have to stay and translate and like just like crazy.
Oh,
That's why.
everybody.
Yeah, and I try to like hear you and understand like what is.
No, please. I'm just being playful. I'm not trying to be cruel I know everyone is so tired right now. So many people are sick. It's just, like I said, this feels like the longest. We have to do another semester fully online. And there are great things about it, but oh my goodness, I think we're all tired, we're all tired.
No, I'm not tired of studying, just like this semester going crazy with me. I don't know, I just like don't want to drop class, but I try to do something.
Well, thank you for being here, even when you're stressed. Any questions about this? Kamgar, does this make sense, what I'm saying? Even if I'm not saying it great, I think I'm saying it okay, but not great. Does it make sense a little bit, Kamgar? He walked away. He's like, oh, I'm out of here. He's probably got stuff to deal with. Okay, let's look at one more example before we finish up here. Bibi already used it, but I want you to use by the time.
Yeah, I got home, Professor. So.
No, I was saying earlier in your Los Angeles example, Bibi, you gave us, Bibi gave us, I got lost in all my slides here of your guys's great sentences. Bibi gave us, by the time I moved to Los Angeles, I had already bought a car. I want you to give me, either you can speak it or type it in the chat. Give me a sentence where you use the time phrase by the time. I would love for you to try the past perfect with the simple past, and then you choose the verbs, any sentence you want. This is your total freedom. So let's look at a few of your sentences and then let's get out of here for tonight. I got another class after this too, though, so.
Should I use past perfect? Past.
I would love you to use the past perfect in one clause and the simple past in the other clause, if you can.
I have. Can we use already, right, in this?
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think our brains are so tired. I'm gonna give you this example sentence. Just copy the format, right? You'll get a chance to practice this in Canvas, but here's an example. Here's Bibi's earlier example. So use this same template and give me an original sentence.
Sorry, Professor. By the time I came home, I had already joined Zoom. I want to try like that.
Can I say?
Please get in here, yeah.
By the time I had came to the hospital, I had already drove car, right? Driven. Sorry.
Yep, and remember, by the time in the first clause, remember, this is first, so here you just get to use the simple past, right? By the time I came to the hospital, I had already driven the car. And you've got the order here perfect, right? Past perfect is for what happens first. So first, drive the car, then arrive at the hospital, right?
Mm-hmm.
Perfect. Who else? Who else? Good. We've got some stuff to fix. Zainab's given us a good example. Let's fix it. By the time I get our tickets, we started packing our stuff.
I just thought about say like close to you of the end, but by the time I got our new home. We had already packed, right? The stuff.
Packed.
Packed.
Great. And Vanessa was making a suggestion, and Ina just did it for Zainab's great sentence. By the time I got our tickets, and then we do need the comma, this is the dependent clause. By the time I got our tickets, what am I missing in this clause though? This should be the past perfect.
We had started.
Good. Thank you. Vanessa says had in the chat as well. Thank you, Vanessa. Absolutely. And notice in this one, I'll keep already. We don't need already. Let's keep already out. By the time I got our tickets, go ahead.
Professor, we don't have to use already all the time, right? Like it's optional. We can use, we cannot, right?
It's helpful when you're learning it. Yeah, it's helpful when you're learning it because it's such a big clue. You know what I mean? Like it's such a big signal, like use this tense. But once you feel comfortable using it, you don't have to use it every time you use this verb tense. No.
Okay, thank you.
And then Ina gave us one. Anybody else have one we could look at? Cool. So, my friends, that's the past perfect. And you'll get to practice it in Canvas. Let me show you what's going on in Canvas real quick. And I will also make another quick reminder. If you go to the course materials page right here on Canvas, and if you click these 3 chapters that I have for you, that I've scanned for you, if you download the verb tenses one, grammar and beyond 3 verb tenses, there is a lot of good information here, right? But this is just a part of a chapter. It's not the whole book, of course. But if you go to this page, past perfect here on page 46, you'll see lots more examples. This can help you when you're doing the lessons, the activities that I have in Canvas for you. And we will look at some examples from this textbook next week when we get more practice with the past perfect, okay? So just a reminder that that material is there for you as well. But if you go to, oh, that's what I wanted to show you. And then I wanted to show you in Student View that remember, if you go to assignments, lesson 14, 15, and 16, all of these quizzes are open and available for you in Canvas, okay? For the people who did finish, I think lesson 15, if you did this quiz already, I gave you your points, but only like 6 of you did it. So plenty of time for you to catch up and do that and get some more practice with these verb tenses, including the past perfect, okay? So that's what I'm saying here at the end, lesson 14, 15, and 16. And I encourage you, if you have not finished those, to do that this week because, like I said, next week, I'm going to introduce Grammar Writing 3, and that will be all about verb tenses. So that's what we're doing. That's what the next week kind of looks like, you guys.
Still, I sorry for the delay. I was just
no problem.
Something happened here because of no deadline. I haven't done some of the homework yet. So still I can do that. Yeah.
Of course, yeah, of course. That's the whole design of the class, Kamgar. Yeah, anytime. But again, so like I said, my suggestion: if you've got 5 or 6, or let's even say 4 or 5 lessons to do, if you can even do 1 or 2 of them, you'll feel very happy because you know the grammar writing projects, they take more time than the quizzes in Canvas. So I encourage you to do some of these lessons because again, I'm going to introduce Grammar Writing 3 next week.
Okay, by next week I'll do some.
Sure.
Thank you.
Of course. Any other questions, concerns, ideas, anything? Cool. That's all I've got. Or do you want to practice a little more? No, I've already said that's all I've got. That's, you guys are done. We're clicking off the Zooms now. Where I'm fine to end a little bit early, you guys. If you do have questions, I'll stay and hang out for the next 10 minutes. But otherwise, get to work, get to practice those lessons in Canvas, because once you practice those lessons, you'll be really, really ready to start with the Grammar Writing 3 next week. Okay. And again, you'll see your grades for Grammar Writing 2 soon and very soon. All right, I'm going to stop.
I'll be waiting for that. If I get the lower, I'll do some changes to get the higher.
Of course, you'll still be able to do that too. All right,
after your comments.
Of course. I'm going to stop the recording and then I'll stick around to answer questions. Okay.
Thank you. Have a great day.